Okay, shall we start? I'm sharing the screen. Is broadcast is on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I hope everybody is able to hear me. I'm sharing the screen. Please confirm once you are able to see the screen. I'm not able to share it today. Why? Somehow I'm not able to share the screen. Pause recording. Get that pop-up itself.
Sir, now you can able to screen the share.
No, I'm not able to see anybody. Are you sharing it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Rajesh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is screen visible now to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then. Thank you. So today, sorry for the delay. Unfortunate that it is not working in my main screen. Today we are supposed to, yesterday what we have seen is simple form control with just a email, style sheet, etc. And in that, how it looks like, we have seen it as part of the Google. We just seen it like this. This is the form control we have seen. We want to expand this in the form of real form control that is used in the Angular material. So Angular material has the default, there is a concept called forms. So there are two types of forms. One is called reactive form, another is called normal form controls. So reactive form are the one which is dynamically you assign the form into the table. Right now I'm going to do all this email and all. I'm not going to hard code it like this. I'm passing that value through app component. That is what I just wanted to do. To start with, so it's an export class app component. In this app component, I'm creating a variable called form. Before that, I've added this reactive form module also. If you notice that, because default we'll be using reactive form. So form modules is also there. That is a native. Reactive forms is the Angular material. The forms which are interactive. So I've added this reactive form and added that reactive form module into the imports as well. Any module import, I have to use imports. Any component, I need to use declarations. Tomorrow we will talk about more about components because we are talking about routing as well. We are going to touch upon routing as well. Today we just talk about forms, how to create a controls inside the form, what are all the validations we do for a form, right? What is my first expectation? My expectation is my form control, that email, whatever you are seeing it in the data. So email has to be a valid format. So that means email format, there is an industry standard format for a email and it has to match to that. That is one I need to validate. Second, password should have a minimum of 5 character length, maximum of 10 character length. I'm not worried about case sensitive or I'm not worried about one capital. I'm not talking about rules of the password. I'm just want to validate minimum 5 character length, maximum 10 character length is my password should be. Any password I enter, I need to confirm the password. When I say confirm password, the password that I entered and confirm password must match. This is called abstract control. So abstract control is the concept that we will be using. I want to match two fields within that form. How easy it is, that is what we need to look at here in the Angular material. Accept terms and condition, I will come to that little later. First, let us just create a form with email, password, confirm password, with a button, sign up button. I want to make it in the materialistic view. For that, first is I need to make variable, assign the variable as form. This variable, I'm making it as a form group because it's a group of candidates, group of components. So group of components, I put it as part of, when I say group of components, I need to use the curly braces because I want to add multiple components inside this. Email being the one of the component. It's in one group. This entire form control, I am giving it in one group. So you can create any name. You can say register form also. Register form. You can have any names. You can have multiple forms within the same component. Anything is followed. Then this email, I want to treat it as a form control. One is form group. A form group is nothing but a selection of controls. The controls are nothing but the field that we give. I create this email as a form control. I can create it underneath form group. I can make independent email as independent candidate also I make, like for example, email form equal to new of form control. This way also I can make, but it becomes independent. It is not a, the candidate is independent. So I don't want to do that. I want to make form control. I can assign a default value to this form control. Email, I want to assign a default value. I can assign it here. In my case, it is null. I am not assigning any value. Followed by validators. I want to validate this email. What is that? First is it is a mandatory element. I want to show that it is a mandatory element. How do I do that? Whether if you are doing only one validator, then I can use validator, capital V, validator, then dot required. If I have only one validator, that means in case if somebody not entered any value into the email column, it will show an error. That means this form data, register form data is invalid. If I want to do multiple, that means more than one validator, then it is called validators.compose and then array of validator. Use curly braces, square braces, because it's an array of validator. Validators dot required. I want to validate with the standard email. Validator email. It's a default available, so it will validate email. Validate email. Validators dot email. Validators that required controls value pass an email validation test. So email validated test is default as per configuration defined in the industry standards. So based on that rule, he will test that. Right? Validators.email, he will test that. And this is how, in case if there is an error, you can take the errors output like this. Email becomes true. You can pass on anything that you want. This is one control I created. Email is one control. In that email, default value I'm assigning null, and I'm making it as required field. That means it is a mandatory field. I'm making it as an email as a normal. That means email validation I want to perform whether it follows the default email structure. Another control. I have three controls now. Password, new, form control. As I said, password also I don't have a default value, so I give as an empty null value because there is no default password value. Validators, again it is having a multiple validator. One, password is mandatory. So validators compose square braces because it's an array of compose. Validators dot required, and I want to validate minimum length and maximum length. Validators capital V, min length. There is a candidate called min length. 5 minimum character I want to pass. Validators max length, max length, 10 characters I want to pass. I want to make this mandatory. Perfect. Second control is done. Now I have third control called confirm password. When I say confirm password, it is confirm. Here this value will not go to DB or anything. This will cover it later. This I just wanted to make a new form control. Of course, it's a form control. New form control. Again, it is a null value. So here, what I want to do as a validator, I just want to make validators as required. It's a required field. That's all. Validators dot required. Only one, I don't need an array. I don't need a compose because I want to only measure validators is required. So I did this. Please note, I have not compared anywhere password and confirm password. Is it matching or not matching? I am not validated anywhere, but that is one of my requirement. Remember, that is one of my requirement. And I want to click on sign up. So I create a sign up functionality also on sign up. I just create a functionality sign up. I don't want to enter any data. I just put console log form. This form, register form. Register form, I'm just printing it. That's all. I'm just printing it to, I want to know what is there inside. Right? I just want to print it so that we understand that, so that we remember what we are doing. Is it right or wrong? Right? So sign up, I just put a button for button sign up. Now I'm coming to the HTML. Before I do that, please remember form. I have one is form. Form is nothing but a group candidate. I am using a default. Please note, I am using the validators. I am using a form control, form group. This is part of Angular forms. Please note, it is I am inserting that inside this component. Module is inserted outside. From module, what are all the components I want to use from that module? I am using form control module. That is what here it is. I am using form group module. That is what it is. Usually when you start typing here, automatically that gets created here as soon as you ask for that request in the UI. That is as you type. But if you know it, you put it upfront. Validators is also I am using. That is why that is also added here. This is required when you are using a third party from module. I am using components of that module. So module as a whole I imported, but inside that module I am using the component of the module. That is why I have got this validators. Right? This component is coming from here. That is Angular core. So this is also very, very important for us to understand that there are two types of imports. One is within the module. So one is within the module. This is at the global level. It is app module. Another is within the module. There can be multiple components inside the module. Library. Module is nothing but library of components. Which component you want to use, that is defined underneath component.ts. This is very important to understand. That component also, it is form of module. Without enabling the module, you cannot access any of the control here. Without enabling the module here, you cannot access that control here. So enabling the module is equally important if you want to access the controls of that module. So these are all some of the controls. So first is I want to create a form group. Why form group? Because it's a group of elements. All these groups, if it is matching only, I want to enable the form candidate. In fact, I want to enable the sign up button only if email is valid, password conditions are matches, password and confirm password are matches, then only I want to enable the sign up button. Otherwise, my validation in sign up will become more. So that is what we are going to see. Right now, I am not just included the validation, but I am not really validated. I said this is my requirement. What is my requirement? Email is a form control. That form control should be a mandatory value. It should be valid and it should match the format of the email. Second, password. Password is a required field. Some compulsorily it is supposed to be entered. Validators, the minimum length is 5, maximum length is 10. That is the password validation I have introduced. Confirm password, I said it is required, but I know where validating now password and confirm password is matching or not matching. right? Then right now I just given a sign up. Sign up is just register form, it just prints it. That's all. I'm now coming to the HTML. We have done it in the component.ts file. Now I just know what component I need. I created the component. This component I'm going to use it in the HTML because that is for display. Right now if I save it, it will not give any error, but you will not see any difference. I have created in component.ts, but it will not have any difference. If I just type it, print, it will just print. That's all. Already compilation might have happened. Compilation is done. It just printed the as it is. There is no difference at all. This form is the old form, native form. We call it as a native form, right? Okay. Now, having said that, I come to the component. How you want to align HTML? I'm going to come to the HTML. How you, that is really we are going to design the form. One, form is an independent element. So I make one HR, horizontal rule, right? It is self-closing tag. So that one line is done. So form, I've created a form, right? Now I want to bind that form here. Whatever I've created here, I want to bind this form into my HTML. This is where reactive form is all about. I'm binding this form now. That is called form group. Please, very important, please understand this. So register, I'm binding this entire form that I'm creating here. I'm binding it to the HTML so that the HTML understands that this form is a dynamic and this form is coming from the component.ts file. It doesn't mean that automatically email, password, everything will be listed here. No. It says this form controls are available for him to use, HTML to use. That is what we are registering. We are mapping the form to be enabled in the HTML. Okay. Having said that, my next job is mat form field. Whatever we have done, mat form field in the top, that input, I just take that one input. One input I'll take, then modify it. Okay. I'll just take one input. I copy paste here. Now, mat form field, please remember, mat form field is not a candidate. It is a span candidate. It is not a block candidate. There are two types of candidate we have seen. One is called block candidate. Another is called div. Example, div is a block candidate. Div one below the other, it will come. Whereas mat form field, it is one side by side, span candidate. Because it is you need to decide how you want to align the form field. In my case, form field appearance, I call it label as email. Label as email. And input, instead of ng form, because now it is no longer required, because we are controlling at the form level, then it is called form control name equals to, what is that form control name? Because I'm using the form group register form mapped. I'm just closing some not used candidate so that I can see it in the same screen. So component, I'm using email now. This is my form control name. This is what I just want to give here. That means, and another is required. If I put required here, you will see that star mark. You will see the star mark in the field, right? I just created a form field, mat label, email, right? I just give one more now, password. Copy paste the same. Copy paste the same. I'll just say password here. Once initial few components you create, later everything is a copy paste. Password, I come here, put a password here. I want this password, I don't want static, so I put a type here, password, so that I'll get asterisk in the your input. So I don't get the normal number or whatever is typing, it is not visible. I'll get the input. So mat form field, this one. So another is confirm password. Confirm password. Whatever the name you have given here, the same name you need to use. Control C I'm using. So I give the form control name as confirm. Here I just type C capital, confirm, mat label. It is an outline. This is also a password field because it is to be asterisk. And all are required fields. That is why I have added required. That means you will get a star mark. This required is all about star mark. It is nothing to do this validator. Validator required means the form is getting validated. Validator not required means nothing it will do. Another is I want to just put a button. Button also we have the class. I just take that from there. One button class I will take. Where is button? Input button, my button here, option, below option. Oh, here it is, button. So I just take one copy of this button, right? This button, I just take one button copy, I paste it here. Please note, I have just pasted, I have not done anything else. So primary 16 is margin right is 16. I remove all this. I don't want any of this now. Click. I just want this click to work. So on sign up, I just want to click. On sign up, click. I don't want focus or anything. I don't want anything. Blur also I don't want. Right? I just put click. Button also has a type. Please note, button also has a type. By default, it is going as a button type. By default, button type. Submit is another one which we use because on enter, I want that form to be triggered, activate. So later, by default, it is button. It will act as a button. Okay. All this different combination, when you practice, better you try. Please note, I have not used any CSS or anything. I just made it as an outline. 3 form fields we have used and 1 button we have used. And on sign up button, I am not giving any parameter to this. On sign up, if you click on it, it will print whatever is here. Form data. I just put form data so that we know that this is what is getting printed in the console. So I just saved it now. Make sure compilation is fine. There is no error. So compilation is fine. Right. So what first I did a form creation, registered the form. Register form is the name. This register form, I just created 3 controls: email, password, confirm password. Button is not part of the form control because it is a click event, right? So I want to validate whether it has to be a required field. Email is validation, format has to be email. Required, min length, max length. Confirm password, I just created as required field. That's all I did. I'll just put it as HTML. I map that form group here because it's a mapping candidate. Then mat form field, created one input element, below another input element I did. Compiled it, compilation is successful. I'm going back to my screen. Now you can see here, the form is appearing below, right? My button, you can see all are in the same line. All in the same line, but you look and feel is different, but all are in the same line. I want one below the other. I want one below the other. Multiple ways that can be done. One, use div, right? Div, put that mat form field inside this div. This is one way of doing it. Right? Put for each one div. Confirm password, this you want to keep it in the same line. you can keep it in the same line as well. So confirm password and this, you want to keep it in the same line, you can tag it properly. Control Shift Alt F, automatic alignment in Visual Studio Code, Shift Alt Tab. Okay, above for the div above and below, if you want to leave a space, you can leave a space. For this mat form field, I want to leave a space, 16 pixel, style, margin right, margin left. So margin right is what I want to follow. So I just put here, no, margin left. Yeah, margin left I want to follow. So style, margin left, because only one candidate means I will not give this. If it is multiple candidate, I will give this. So 16 pixel is my margin left. I have given this form field, input required. I did that. I want to put button as one div below, enter, copy paste, put it inside. Now the same thing, you can just check how it looks like. I just save it, compilation going on. There is a compilation, no error. Now you can see this UI. Email, password, confirm password, button, my button. Right? Everything is a left aligned. I want this to be 50% of the width. I want to be 50% of the width. So center, align, center, width 50%. Let's see what happens. Align center 50% width. What happens? Compiled, exact, you can see now. So it is now email, password, confirm password, everything has become center. Everything is a center now. Button is also below. Right? I just want to go to the top, so I just give some bottom margin. Either I can do that, or what I'll do is I'll just give a margin bottom. It has not taken, actually that is supposed to be part of style with 50%. I have given it as part of alignment, so that may not work at all. It may not have been. So margin bottom, I just want to show it some space, so 100 pixels, so that bottom there will be some space for us to view it properly. I have added 50% width I have given. Let us see what happens. Okay, so compilation is over. Now this is what the effective 50% is. Right, 50% of the total width, I've centered the candidate. That means up to this somewhere, I'm centered the candidate. So align got centered. So I don't want alignment to be centered. I want gap or something like that, or inside that, I just come here, app component. Within this center, I want all this to be left aligned. All this to be left aligned. Only this candidate I want to center it. I want to left align that. Then put everything inside a div. Align start. Inside that you put everything. Align start. Start, end, center. I think that is the syntax. I don't remember it, but I hope that is the center. Now what I did is, overall form, it has to be center. 50% of the width, it has to be center. Or I can use 100%. Now overall center. Then within the center position, left aligned. I want to keep this as a left aligned. Right? Let us see what happens. So whole form is centered, but within that I want to align it at left aligned. Let us see this how it works. Compilation. It is, as of now there is no syntax error. Now you can see here, I want to align it center, but this is not aligned to the center. It is overall, it has got taken into a left align. Overall, it has moved to the left align. I'm going back to the code now. Sorry. Overall, this align is not effective. The reason is, as a div, it is a complete div. So if I make it as 50%, because I made it as 100%, I make it as 50% now. 50% center in that align start. Now let us see what happens. Compilation, successful, no issues, left align. Still there is no change. And bottom margin also there it is not effective. Margin bottom also it is not effective. I'll use padding. 100 pixel, I use padding now. That is also, yeah, padding is effective. Margin was not effective, but at least padding is effective. I'm able to see the scroll below. So form, email. So this 50% also, because the 50% align center, it is what is happening is I'm using the 50% of the space. Within 50%, I'm using the alignment. That is what it is happening here. Within 50%, I'm trying to align it to the center. So 50% is again starting from the beginning only. So this is where you have to be very careful when you are dealing with forms and centering of forms, etc. You have to be very careful how you deal with that particular entity. So in this case, I just kept it as 50% center. So I leave it at this. Now I'll give it at align start. This I don't want to keep it in the middle. Let us see how it works so that you understand what we are trying to, different things that we are trying to. This is how you have to practice to make sure you understand all the components of the. Now you can see alignment 50%, 50% you got the center. Within that center you got. So this align start is not effective. It is also not effective. It doesn't work. Right? Align spelling mistake. I'm sorry. Align spelling mistake. Align spelling mistake in align. Let us just see again. I'll use it now 100% because I made one more div inside. So that div is ensuring that we are in the center. So we are in the center, but that is again all are going into the left, right? That is how it looks like. So it doesn't have any impact at all. So you need to manage it carefully with the CSS in such a way you get the center form. The form data is centered. So the form data is centered. So instead of form data, if I don't do anything here, I remove all the components that I've added, all the div that I've added, make it as remove this also, remove this also, remove this also. Now put this entire form inside the div. Then what happens? Entire form, put it inside the div. Inside the div, this align center, put it align center, put it here, right? And say here style width 50%. Control Fs. Just see what happens for this in case if it is working, how it works. Now the same way, div is 50%, all are again centered. So we leave it at that now. Now what I want is confirm. If I Sriraman, that is something, this email has come, password has come. I just make sure ABCD 1 2 3 4 confirm. I'm giving a different password now, 1 2 3 4 5, different password. I click on my button so that I get the control back in my candidate. Here you can see form data. You see the entire form, the nature of the form. You can see here there is a controls here. The controls, if you go inside the controls, this is how you understand how the code works. The three controls: email, password, confirm password. All the three are appearing, and status is valid because the form, overall status of the form is valid. Control, each control there is a valid status, ABCD 1 2 3 4, because it is within 10. 1 2 3 4 is a valid. So if I give wrong data, if I give now ABCD, because minimum is 5, ABCD I have given, it is showing in red color because actually the validator I have used that has gone into error. That is why it is showing a red color. Click on my button so that you get the control again. Open it. Now you see the password. Control password. This password, you can see status is invalid. That means control dot status, if I give, right, controls is the overall. In that object, if I see the status of this password field, it is invalid because value is ABCD. Why it is invalid? You can see the error. Error says min length, required length is 5, actual length is 4. So much he does for you. We have not done anything. We just designed the component. All other things he is taking care of. So password, min length, required length is 5, actual length is 4. So this is, he is validating that, and the error has come. Whereas for email, you may not have seen this error at all, or error will be empty, null. There is no error. If error is there, you will see that it is error, min length. For this error, min length. Now I exceed the length. A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You can see that red color because I have exceeded the length. My button, actually my min condition is passed, but max condition has failed. In password, min condition is passed, overall form status is invalid. Controls, password is value is ABCD, max length is gone, it is out. So max length is beyond my limit. Max length, actual length is 13, required length is 10. So that has got deviated. This is part of, so how do I get this? How do I validate this? Now, one more thing, you have noticed that I have not validated the password versus confirm password. I have not yet validated. I want to validation to happen under form control. Password and confirm password, if it mismatches, I don't want the form to be a valid form. You can ask this button is enabled. So if I don't want button to be enabled, then it is called conditional statement. I just put here, there are, that is called disabled. Disabled form dot invalid. There is two conditions. One is invalid true, another is valid. Form dot valid, form dot status, form dot invalid. All these controls are there. I use form dot invalid because it becomes true. That means disabled becomes true. If I just add this control to this, in my thing you can see form, that's not, sorry, form, it is not form, it is register form. It is register form, that is the name I have given, not form. Form is a tag name. I'm able to see, you can see now my button is disabled. You know there is a button, but button is disabled. Why button is disabled? Sriraman K, confirm password ABCD EF 1 2 3 something 1 2 3 4 5 6. You can see now button has got enabled, automatic, dynamic. That is called reactive form. So based on my data input, automatically that validation passes. Button gets enabled. If I remove one line, fail. If only 4 characters, button is disabled. If I put multiple characters on that, disabled because it is greater than 10. In the same way, I don't want password and confirm password. If it doesn't match, I don't want button to be enabled one way. And I want to display the message below. I want to display the message below. These things we'll see tomorrow, right? Tomorrow I can take, because that's a important concept we need to understand here. So we'll take up tomorrow how this can be done, right? So how to align doing the CSS and all, we'll do it little later. I just given you some basic position of how CSS is validating the data, not CSS, default attributes. Okay, tomorrow we'll ensure how to validate these controls more effectively. And I want to display here the message in case that password, whatever the validation, it goes into red color. I want to know what is the reason for this red color. I want that display to happen below. For that, of course, we'll use, that is why we have learned about that form controls display here. Based on that, we'll see. Now, since I disabled it, you cannot see that form control now, because this, you cannot click on that button. It is disabled. These activities we'll see tomorrow, how to enable that, how to integrate that. Once this is done, tomorrow, if time permits, we'll also see the routing, very important concept. That means from this application component, I want to move it to actual registration page. I remove all other components. We'll try to move it to the registration page. From there, we'll try to manage the registration form. This will possible. Tomorrow, we'll see that as well. I leave it at this point here. I stop my share. Any questions, you can ask me. If you have any questions, please let me know. Flexbox, yes, I have not touched all those areas. That is where we will be landing up to. But I want to use third-party CSS like Bootstrap, FX Layout, third-party things which is very easy to use, right? And it does a lot of job for you. That is why I just given you all the perception of where that is going wrong, so that why we are going for the third-party CSS also you will understand. But our now focus is not on that. Our focus is to complete the basic flow, then comes all that. So in today's practice, type the password type, button submit, button menu, how it looks like, how it works. Please try to see, try to find out the reason, how that changes, behavior changes. Input type, different input types are there. Number input type is there. All that you try now. Number input type, text input type, that is what default is. Password input type we have seen. Input type checkbox we have seen yesterday. So there are multiple input types of that. Different input types, please see how that behaves. File type is there. Import file type means it will allow you to import the file, export the file. Of course, we have not touched that area yet. Okay, so we'll come back to that tomorrow. I'll there is no more questions, so we'll not able to set, sir. Please ensure appearance is removed. Float label equal to never. Put float label within since you have asked it, I just go to that HTML, that float label HTML. Make sure when you are defining the float label, this appearance is removed. With appearance equal to outline, it will not work. Without appearance only, float label will work. Make sure you remove this appearance. Appearance is there means float label. I learnt in this class only, this one. I used to do float label equal to thing, but I don't use appearance because of the too much of space that is coming between one column to another column. Because of that, I don't use much of the appearance side in our real programming. Usually it is custom made. So the difference in height, sometimes it plays an important role in certain areas. Anyway, I leave it at that. So thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.